welcome to Elevating Impact, a series of conversations with extraordinary leaders and nonprofit organizations all across the country. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Wendy Taylor. Wendy is the founder and executive director of West Place Animal Sanctuary, based in Tiverton, Rhode Island, but really does serve the broader New England region and beyond. So, Wendy, thank you for joining us.
West Place Animal Sanctuary started about 18 years ago. I was a medical malpractice defense litigation attorney and managing partner of my law firm. And I was headed to meet with an expert one day, and I got a call letting me know my house was on fire. So I actually lost all my pets in the fire, as well as everything else that I owned. And long story short, I ended up giving up practicing law and starting a sanctuary for specifically farm animals. I wasn't ready to deal with dogs and cats after losing mine. And of course, there's a lot of representation around the country, for domesticated pets, but not as much for farm animals. We live on the farm coast here in New England, so what better place to start to represent farm animals? And we've been doing that now for almost 2 decades, and we just keep growing bigger and bigger. And it's been a whirlwind and life changing and all of those things you can think of.
Wow, that is quite the leap in career changes. That's incredible.
Not one I thought I would take, but it was one I had to, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I know for a lot of folks right now who are dealing with losing their homes and pets, I know that story is going to resonate with a lot
Oh,
of people.
goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah, I barely made it through the first time. I can't imagine people who are going through it or getting ready to go through it right now.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, and you kind of along those lines, it's only almost 2 decades. What do you find are your biggest challenges in terms of being able to run the organization and have the type of impact you're hoping to have?
So since we started out as a true grassroots organization, I mean, it was on day one, it was just me. And I needed 3 board members, and it was my mom and my secretary and somebody else. And, to really start from the baseline and have to grow, that teaches you a lot. And I tried to pace it where we weren't growing. I didn't think we would grow at all. I thought this was just going to be some hobby that I did in my spare time. And as much as that saying from Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come, always drove me crazy. That's exactly what happened here. I had no idea that if I built this, there was a need for it already pre-existing. So immediately we just started growing by leaps and bounds. And, you know, it- we started out with volunteers whenever they could fit in, on the weekends. And I was doing it early morning before work and after work at night and then on the weekends. And then finally realizing this is a 7 day a week, 365 day a year kind of position. So then it was, how do I raise enough money to hire staff to help build the organization even bigger? And I didn't even hire my first staff person, believe it or not, until 4 years and 1 month ago. Yeah, so for the first 14 years almost, it was me and a bunch of volunteers. And I give all those volunteers back in the early days all the credit in the world because I couldn't have done it without them. And so now we're a staff of 6 or 7 in the middle of hiring more staff right now. So I would say, the challenge was we didn't start with a bequest. We didn't start because a wealthy benefactor passed away and boom, all of a sudden we had this great organization and, the sky was the limit. I really did have to pace how quickly we could grow so that we not only became sustainable, but that we were maintainable as well.
Mm.
So there are definitely challenges in starting. I mean, they say that the statistics are 85% of all nonprofits that start don't make it past the first 5 years.
Mhm.
And I believe that because it really did take everything I had to keep this going and to grow this and to make it what it is almost 20 years in.
Wow, that's extraordinary, and I'm so excited for you that you've got a team, that can support you now. That's extraordinary. That's wonderful. I'm so glad.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm excited or I'm just always exhausted. I'm going to go with the latter. I think I'm just always exhausted. But no, it is what we've accomplished is very exciting. We are very proud of, how big we've gotten, but we haven't even started, really. We're still a young organization. There's so much more we have to do and so much more growing that needs to happen.
Right. Well, and how do you fit into the kind of larger animal welfare space? I mean, do you have a kind of a niche that you focus on in terms of what animals you're helping? Are there a lot of
That's
other organizations doing what you're doing? I'd just be interested to hear.
since we started, over the years, there have been some other farm animal sanctuaries that have popped up. Their rescuing is a little bit different. They will take just an unwanted farm animal or a pet, a farm animal that's a pet that no one can keep anymore. Whereas we really focus on the neglect, the abuse, and the cruelty cases. So we're usually getting called by animal control officers, police departments, SPCAs, other organizations when the authorities are stepping in to really remove and seize an animal for just a really bad case of neglect or abuse. So we've kept that as our focus because there's so much more that has to go into that than when you're taking on a healthy animal. That's one thing. You're taking in an animal who hasn't had food or water and they've become morbidly obese because someone is just feeding them stale donuts and they haven't been seen by a vet and they're technically and mechanically blind because their facial folds are so fat that they can't open their eyes on their own.
Hmm.
So there's a lot that goes into that. So we have a medical program, a nutritional program, an exercise program, a skin conditioning program, and an enrichment program, all of which we will customize for the not just the particular species of animal that we take in, but for that specific rescue that we're taking in. So to answer the first part of your question, we take in whatever we are asked to take in, whatever gets seized, any farm animal that's neglected, as long as they fit our mission and we have the space, we're usually running full, but we keep building buildings and we're hoping to be able to acquire some more land next door to us so that our mission can keep growing.
Oh, fantastic. Well, and I mean, that sounds such heartbreaking work. I mean, what do you all do to kind of help with self-care to make sure that you're kind of emotionally well through, seeing what sounds like can be pretty heartbreaking situations?
Yeah, we definitely we've been told we put on a happy face, sometimes and there's always no matter how many rescues you lose and we lose them usually from extreme old age. So we're very proud of that. Um our longest original rescue, she was a duck named Erna. She was a crested pekin and she just passed away a few months ago. She lived to be 17 and a half years old, and the average age for a duck is 8 to 10. So when I say we're proud of not only are we taking in these animals, but these animals that should die very early in their lifespan because of what they've been through are actually surpassing and living for so long. We shock even ourselves, but it is always sad when we lose an animal, and sometimes it's to cancer, sometimes it's to, a really, really bad medical condition that their body's just finally succumbing to it. But we know that there are other animals that need us. And we know that, now I'm going to get worked up. We know that the one leaving us is making room for somebody else coming in. And we have to remind ourselves about that because we get choked up. And so to answer the question is, to what we do to kind of get by. I mean, we do when we can get goofy, we get goofy. So my development director, he likes to write rap songs about the animals, and they're shockingly good. And we'll make him perform those every once in a while. And they just, we have to laugh when we can and we smile when we can. And there are a lot of things here that make us laugh and make us smile. I mean, just our 16-year-old pig with severe arthritis all of a sudden pops his head around the corner and he's getting out to sunbathe for the day. And everybody stops what they're doing. And everybody yells, Jack's out, because he came to us for hospice care from one of the worst neglect and cruelty cases we've experienced.
Mm.
And we were told he might live a few more weeks, a few more months if he was lucky. That was 6 years ago, and he's still with us.
Wow.
So there is a lot that makes us happy. And we have a lot to celebrate every day.
Well, the animal wraps are going to be the next episode. So just give your development director a heads
He
up
would
that
be happy to. He would be happy to. We're so he's done one about alpaca. He's done one about the 17-year-old duck named Erna, and I'm getting ready to tell him he's got to write one about the baby emu we're about to take in.
oh,
So yeah, they it spans the everything you can imagine.
I love that. That's so great. Well, and I was just thinking, one of the things that we're trying to talk about with groups around the country is what types of collaboration exist to make your work possible. And just hearing you talk about, when animals are being seized, do you kind of have a long-standing relationship with animal control or police, or what does your kind of network look like to be able to do the work that you're doing?
You answered the first part of that very well. We do have a long-standing relationship with the authorities, which with the SPCAs, with the animal control officers. And again, the bigger we get and the more our reach goes, people reach out to us, directly. And a lot of we don't have the authority. So if someone says, my neighbor is causing this to happen, causing a really bad case, they're neglecting their farm animals, we don't have the ability to do anything about that, but we can instruct them and teach them that they've got to start with the authorities, and then we'll get looped in if that moves forward. But as far as collaboration, we also focus on, I know we give back every day by what we do, but we always focus on trying to give back as much as we possibly can. So a lot of our collaborations actually are with high school and colleges around us, because we have a really robust educational internship program that offers that hands-on learning, like experiential way of these kids getting the knowledge that they're not necessarily going to get in the classroom. They're going to be able to touch and feel and see and hear and smell and work with the animals, and not just with the animals, but there's a lot that goes into running a nonprofit, whether it be an animal sanctuary or any other kind. So, we have a property manager. We call them green thumbs. They run our high tunnels that help grow food for our animals. So there are all those other people, and then the administration. So the kids, the high school and the college students that are coming to learn, even if their focus is not animal care, there are so many other opportunities. And a lot of the schools have started to realize that we are the go-to if those kids want that out of the classroom, externship kind of experience.
Mhm.
And then a lot of the college classes come here as well as a class. So not just sending students to get their classroom credits or get their community service, but an entire classroom will come to see inject animal injections or deworming happening, or how are we cutting the hooves of the goats and the sheep and things like that, because they can't learn that in the classroom. They might be able to see it on a YouTube video,
Yeah.
but seeing it in real life up close and really getting to experience it is the real only way to truly learn, learn by doing.
Right.
It's great to be able to watch a video or read something in a book, but to be there when it's actually happening. And we like to be able to give that back. And as we say, we're trying to cultivate a more passionate community, compassionate community, cultivate a more compassionate community. And we do that with the young people.
Mhm.
And we're hoping that we turn out a lot of really great young adults when they move on.
That's wonderful. I'm originally from Montana, and so when I'm hearing you talk about that, I remember my first time when I was a kid seeing a cow giving birth up close, like in person, and the impact that it had on me was just monumental. And I was quite young, but it was an incredible experience. So the fact that you're getting to provide all of these opportunities for people of
Those,
a bunch of
you're
different
right.
ages is
Yeah.
extraordinary.
That really is like a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity. And, I did not grow up around farm animals. I didn't have, that I'll call it luxury because they really are incredible, like sentient, intelligent beings.
Right.
So when by mistake one of our female sheep got impregnated and ended up having lambs, she only wanted to do the first one by herself. And the next one she let me handle. And she was
How
not
generous of her.
participating. Yes, and she was not participating at all. Again, as I said, I did not grow up around farm animals. That is, when I say once in a lifetime experience, I don't ever want to have to do that again. Like, it was fun. It was nerve-wracking. Oh God, I was so worried, and I had to go. We'll just say I had to go in, and I didn't take my jewelry off, and all of a sudden I'm I'm looking at the other person who's holding the her face, and I just thought, "Oh my God, I'm gonna cut her insides. My rings are on." So I'm inside with my thumbs like trying to spin my rings so they're touching the inside of my hands and not the inside of her. And oh, it was scariest thing I've ever been through.
A little bit different from being a lawyer, just a little
It,
bit.
it was a little bit it was a little bit different, but she's amazing. Her lambs were amazing. They're now 4 or 5 years old, and yeah, it couldn't have gone better.
Well, it sounds like you have an amazing future ahead of you as well. You had mentioned briefly that there is some property that you're trying to acquire. What's next for you all? Tell us a little bit more about that.
We're on the precipice of just really taking a massive step forward in our growth, both just with the animals we can serve, the community we can serve, and also just geographically, like we just need more space. We're on a few acres here, but there is 36 acres right next door to us that has recently gone up for sale. Um, it is expensive, as you can imagine. Farmland is expensive. So we are hoping to find just some really great, good-hearted donors out there that are willing to reach out and say, count me in, get me on board. What can I do to help you not just acquire this land so that we can expand, but the land happens to be a historically significant property as well. So, you've got land conservation and historical preservation all wrapped into that ask too. But it's a worthwhile parcel. Once that is gone, we'll never get that back. So we are hoping that we can keep the landscape here in the town where we are as close to what it used to be as possible. So we're hoping we can get lucky enough that we can find the right people to jump in and be willing to help us save that property so that it doesn't get developed. Not that we're against development by any means, but where we are in farmland. We are in farm country here, and we want to keep it that way. It's necessary to keep it that way, and we're hoping to be able to be lucky enough to do that.
That sounds exciting and critical on a number of different levels. So I think that's an opportunity that a lot of people will be interested in. And how do folks find you to give?
So they can give in so many ways, but obviously the easiest is through our website, which is westplace.org. They can call us, they can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, you name it, X. They can find us everywhere. We're on every platform, YouTube. Um, Anybody Googles West Place or West Place Animal Sanctuary, and you should be able to find everything you need to know about us.
Perfect. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for joining me. This was so fun, and you gave me so many visuals now in my head what your life could be like on a daily basis. So,
You're welcome, I guess.
for those of us, thinking about career changes. You're an inspiring story, I think.
Now, I usually try to talk people out of that kind of career change, although I wouldn't change it for the world. I do miss practicing law, but this is what I was meant to do. So I wouldn't change it. And we anybody who hears this that's close by, not only getting involved by donating, but if they want to volunteer, we always have a space open for someone who wants to get involved with us.
Perfect, perfect. Well, Wendy, you're wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll make sure everybody can find you.
Thank you so much. This was a joy. It was great talking with you. And thank you for letting us share our story.
Happy to be a platform for you. And stay tuned for next conversations coming up.
Absolutely.